I'm excited. We're about to get into the more positive part of the 2021 list week. And honestly, honorable mentions is like the most boring part of the list thing to me. But I'm gonna do it just because there are albums here that, while didn't make my albums of the year list, they're still pretty good. I think they deserve mentions. I think they deserve highlights. I think they deserve, some recognition. So I listen to these. I think y'all should listen to them as well. There's some loosies throughout the year, nothing crazy, but like, if you missed it, I understand why you missed it, but you need to check in. You need to tap in, bro. First one is gonna be Rick Ross with Richer Than I've Ever Been. I thought this was probably one of Rick Ross's most consistent efforts, and Rick Ross is a generally pretty consistent artist. It's hard to imagine him at this point in his career releasing a bad album. So about the same thing that you expect him to rap about shows up on this record, but he's almost in tip-top form. Like the type of content that he's dropping on this album, the quality of songs that he has on this album, I think it justifies him walking out of an interview without telling the interviewers that he's not coming back. I think he can get that off. Nardo Wick came out with Who Is Nardo Wick? That's a great way to try to introduce yourself. Another pretty consistent, good introduction to an artist that I really didn't know too much about before he dropped one of the best bangers that came out this year with Lil Durk and G Herbo and 21 Savage. We'll talk about that later. Yeah, but he's got the same kind of like deadpan delivery that 21 Savage had when he first entered the game. I feel like as he releases a little bit more music, he'll add a little bit more of a personality to his records, but I think for right now, this introduction isn't bad. He's definitely rough and he's definitely cold. That's a lot of what I gather from this record, but there are a lot of good songs here. One of my favorites being incredible horny anthem Baby What You Doing with Lakia. I didn't expect to like this song. Like, why do I like this so much? ESTG came out with I Still Don't Feel Nothing this year, and that's crazy because this made me feel something. Relax. I like this album a lot. I think it shows a lot of ESTG's strengths. Prior to him actually releasing his best album a few months later, he showcases a lot of his skill set. Dude's laid back on these tracks. Thing that prevents this from really landing or really hitting hard is just production is just a little shoddy on the record, but other than that, like, I think he has a pretty good personality throughout majority of it. Definitely something that I'd tell you to check out.
Niggas wanna hang with us, but ain't bang with us, slang with us, hanging out the window with them things with us, gang members.
Babyface Ray with Unfuckwittable. I love this album so much, and the only reason it didn't make my spot is because some of the songs start to get weaker as we get towards the end of the record. But this dude is so smooth, bro. His delivery is just everything. The beats, the way he rides them. I think his personality shows up really strongly over this. If you haven't listened to Babyface Ray, Unfuckwittable, I don't fuck with you. The Big Shawn What You Expect EP was unexpected. That being said, I still really enjoyed it. I thought dude had a lot to say. His technical rapping, I think, is the best that it's ever been. This was a really interesting and, again, unexpected EP. Just showing that Big Shawn is still alive, still well, still healthy, and he can still rap. I gotta give a huge shout out to Kohta Yamamoto for the Attack on Titan Season 4 soundtrack. This thing gets more and more beautiful with every listen. The only reason I think I'm such a huge fan of Attack on Titan, not the only reason obviously, but one of the biggest reasons and contributing factors as to why the show ends up working so well is because of its soundtrack. And I cannot wait for part 2 of season 4 to come out just to see what soundtracks they put under these very, very specific scenes. When it comes to cinema, music is everything. I think Kohta absolutely adds so much passion to these scenes that would not exist without his soundtrack. Next we got Load, Don Toliver, Life of a Don, Load. I know you're probably wondering, like, bro, you really like this album on your first listen. Like, what the fuck happened? Like, why is it just in the honorable mentions? Why isn't it in the albums of the year category? Only reason it's not is because just like the Certified Lover Boy album, it didn't age as well as I wanted it to. It's still a great record to me. I still really like it. I think it's a highlight in Don's discography. It 150% showcases everything that makes Don, made me a fan of him in the first place ever since his Can't Say feature off of Astroworld. So not taking anything away from Don Toliver, I still think this is a pretty good record. I still really enjoy it from front to back for the most part. Couple of songs that didn't age as well in my opinion, but overall a really fun experience. It lives up to its name in my opinion, and that's really it. I know y'all don't expect this next one because I gave him so much shit in the last video, but honestly I do think that Baby Keem with the Melodic Blue is an extremely dope concept that, while I don't think fully realized itself with this album, I think he will come to a great understanding of what he was trying to do on this record and go on to release an amazing next project. I honestly believe that he was extremely resourceful, very experimental for what I generally would have expected. The willing to add such alterations to his voice at the drop of a hat, I think that was great. Obviously I don't think it made for great songs, but I think they were definitely great ideas. A rough draft, I think this is what that is, that will ultimately end up becoming something amazing later on. The Alchemist is just in tip-top performance. He's in tip-top shape no matter what record he releases. I feel like saying anything in relation to how good of a producer this man is just such an insult, because you really can't capture what makes him so great with just one record. This year he was dominating. I don't even feel like just this one record alone does him justice, but listen to it because I thought it was fantastic. I forget the first time I ever listened to Spelling. It had to be 2018 or 2019. I forgot what she released that year, but I didn't expect her to come out with something that was so bold and would draw so much attention. I was really proud, not to say that I had any stake in her career, but like to have listened to her at such an early point for her to later like dominate, you know, the next year. I know there's still a lot of people that don't know about this record, but still, I thought it was a pretty cool addition. I definitely think this is a really appealing record, really easy to get into compared to her other works. At times really soft, really dreamy, really mystical. You know, I like the aesthetic, I guess. I don't really remember the name of this album. I think it's like YSL Young Stoner Life 2 or Young Stoners 2. I don't remember the name exactly, but I really enjoyed this. I thought it was a lot of fun. I went into it not really knowing what to expect, you know. I didn't have high expectations for this record really at all. But, you know, we get solid performances from Drake, solid performances from Lil Baby, solid performances from Lil Uzi. And while there are definitely some duds, I think overall the record, you know, does more good than harm, and I think it's worth a listen. I really enjoyed the Yola album, Stand For Myself, that came out this year. And her fusions are really, really interesting. I think I first talked about Yola in 2018, maybe? It might have been 2019, but I'm glad to see she's still putting her foot in all this music. I'm really glad to see that she's really still digging her nails into like every aspect of soul and country, finding such like a healthy spot. You know, she's not being drowned by it at all. Her voice is so strong. Adele with 30, I don't really even have to say anything. I think this record just speaks for itself. Her face, bro. The only other white woman that I looked at and I was like, this would be a nice addition to the family, is Celine Dion. And Adele, I think she's reaching that level of like legendary vocalist, especially with this album. I thought this was just I thought it was a good listen. And last but not least, we gotta talk about Tems, bro. Tems. I fucking love Tems. If this were an album, it would easily be in my top 25 this year. I loved this EP so much. It's the best, I feel like, out of everything that I've mentioned here. I love it the most. I've listened to it the most. It's given me the most comfort. She's just an amazing singer. Her vibe is amazing. You know, I'm a vibing around it as usual. I didn't only come around just to make it, and I can say, oh my God, just drop the album, Tems. I will support it. I will buy it 1,000 times. That's about all I've got for the honorable mentions of 2021. Really enjoyed these. Like I said, not great enough to make my top spots for this year, but still noteworthy. Hope y'all enjoy him. Check him out. If you didn't know him, I hope you didn't know him. You probably did, but if you didn't, that's cool too. Now you got something new to listen to. Thank y'all for watching. Now we can get into the fun stuff. The top 50 songs is coming tomorrow. If you're watching this, it's Monday, so you should be seeing that video sometime Thursday or Friday, and then the top 25 albums right after that. Thank you. I'll see you in the next one, and I'm out. Peace.